Alrighty, good morning everyone, and today we are taking a dive into trauma and stressor-related disorders. What's on my screen right here? We have RAD, DSED, PTSD, ASD, and the adjustment disorders. We're taking a dive into them. I'm hoping that this video can be less than 15 minutes at the most. I'm going to try my best to explain each of these so that when you are working with your clients, you can identify them, and also when you are taking your mock exam, practice exams, or the official MFT National Exam. All right, let's get started. This is your overview. When you think about the trauma and stressor-related disorders, you're going to be thinking about what? Some of those traumatic events that has occurred, symptoms such as like the emotional distress, anxiety, behavior responses to some of those traumatic events that has occurred. And that's going to lead you to diagnosis such as ASD, PTSD, also that the disinhibited social engagement disorder can also be one of them, as well as RAD. All right, so let's dive into RAD. This is your reactive attachment disorder. And I know some of these disorders, we're like, oh, I know that. And that's good. I like that. But sometimes we need to understand how to differentiate between each of them, okay? So your RAD is most like it's the patterns of, inhibited emotional withdrawal that a child may have with their caregivers. That child is going to not seek comfort or support when they are distressed, or if they are distressed, they don't respond to comfort or support all in all, right? And some of this, it can happen because that child has experienced insufficient care when they were growing up, whether if they were bounced around to different foster homes and they didn't have that consistent, basic emotional needs that were being met when it comes to comfort, affection from those caregivers, stimulation from those caregivers as well. It's like, I want you here, I want you close to me, but I don't want you close to me because I feel like you're just going to leave me anyways, right? And then they may have, and those are those moments where they're just like, they're afraid, they're just sad, irritable, worried about things, this caregiver did this to me, and now I'm with this caregiver. Is this caregiver going to do the same thing to me that the last one did? It's like they don't know, so it's kind of like it's harmful to them. And so it's like, if I don't know how you're going to treat me or what you're going to do to me, why should I even open up to you? Why should I even accept this comfort that you're giving me, this support that you're giving me when I am distressed? And even when you leave the room, I don't care if you leave. People have been walking in and out of my life for a long time. That's RAD. You see it? I see it a lot with some of my kids, especially the ones that are in the foster care system. I see it a lot because they've been bounced around a lot, and that's actually one of the core features of RAD. Disinhibited social engagement disorder. This is your child that is like, they will walk up to someone who is unfamiliar, I call them strangers, and just, be there with them. They don't know them. They don't have to know them. They're just there with them. And it's like, it's over. It's like, it's too much. It's a bit much. It's not consistent with their age, or it's not appropriate socially how they should be behaving. But they don't know any better. They're willing to go off with these strangers, or I think in the DSM-5, they call them unfamiliar adults, with no hesitation. I'm sorry, I think they're mowing the grass or something this morning. I'm so sorry if you can hear that through the video. But again, and if you take a look at the C criteria, they've also experienced where it's like extremes of the insufficient care, the social neglect, the basic needs for comfort, stimulation, affection, and support from their caregivers. So it's kind of like matching along the lines of RAD, but with the disinhibited social engagement disorder, that kid is going to be walking up to those unfamiliar adults. I have worked with a kid that was diagnosed with this, and she mainly, most of the time, she would always run up to males. She would always run up to men and sit with them. And then her father, she didn't know her father. Her father was out of her life, and she would just easily just go up, talk to him, sit with them, be there with them. So yes, this is this inhibited social engagement disorder. Alrighty, so now we're moving along the lines of your trauma related disorders. Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. And we know this, so this is kind of like a review. Don't be freaked out about how much it is on the screen. That's just the criteria that you need in order to be diagnosed with PTSD, okay? And it is going to come with your what? Avoidance of the stimuli, intrusion symptoms, intrusive thoughts, distressing memories, nightmares, you trying to avoid thinking about it, avoiding triggers for it, avoiding going back to the place that it occurred. You might be angry about it, hypervigilance, you're being startled easily, sometimes by loud noises. I have I have a testimony. I think I can call it a testimony, but I too myself have experienced a lot of traumatic events in my life, and a traumatic event can be death, serious injury, sexual violence, sexual assault. But the thing about it is, I can't tell you what's traumatic for you. I can't tell you, oh, that's not trauma. Well, that wasn't traumatic. That's not in the DSM-5 as a traumatic event. That's not true, right? Because losing a loved one is very traumatic, and I have experienced two great losses in my lifetime. I have experienced community violence. I've had a lot of that growing up on the south side of Chicago. So a lot of these I identify with. Do I startle easily? Yes, I do. Do I like when someone is walking behind me? No, I do not. Do I jump very frantically when it comes to loud noises and everybody else is around just looking at me crazy? Because nobody else is reacting to the loud noise, but here I am, the only person that's reacting to it. Hearing gunshots growing up as a kid, yes. Witnessing a murder, yes, I have. So I identify with a lot of this on this page right here. And the thing about PTSD, excuse me, I need to charge my phone charge my MacBook because it's about to die. But the thing about PTSD is that you can't tell somebody what's traumatic and what's not, right? You just can't. You can't. But for a diagnosis, you need at least in one or more of the following ways, this is what you have. And I definitely have been diagnosed with PTSD. I identify with a lot of stuff on the screen. 1 month or more is going to lead you to your diagnosis. So if you're working with your clients that have symptoms of this, make sure that you understand the symptoms, you know the length of it, so that you are able to get them the best possible help that they need. And then when it comes to the exam, you know that if their trauma symptoms presented and that vignette says 15 days, it's not PTSD. It's going to be most likely acute stress disorder. Now, acute stress disorder identifies some of the same ways as PTSD, but the time frame is different. 3 days to 1 month after the trauma exposure. If it is longer than 1 month, it's not acute stress disorder. It is ASD, acute stress disorder. And you're going to see some of the same things: alternative reality, avoidance, distressing memories, nightmares about it, avoiding going back, hypervigilance, startling, some of the same stuff for PTSD, right? I think I'm well past acute stress disorder, so I have been diagnosed with PTSD. Right now, for your adjustment disorders are way different from your trauma stressor related disorders, because adjustment disorders is an identifiable stressor. That identifiable stressor can be what? Loss of a job, divorce, marriage, losing a home, buying a new home. It's just like an identifiable stressor that it does not last, right? It's not going to last for too long. So it says even like it does not possess more than an additional 6 months, and it must occur within 3 months of the onset of the stressor, right? If it's going to meet criteria for PTSD, such as the hypervigilance, trying to avoid where the event occurred, things such as like nightmares about it, startling at loud noises. It's not adjustment disorder. It's most likely going to be either acute stress disorder or PTSD, depending on the time frame. Okay, so again, adjustment disorder is just your emotional and your behavior symptoms that are in response to an identifiable stressor that has occurred: job loss, divorce, losing your home, buying a new home. I can't tell you what's a stressor for you, and you can't tell somebody what's trauma to them. Keep that in mind. Okay, that wraps this up. Oh my God, we are under 15 minutes. I hope that each and every one of you have a better understanding to some of the trauma and stressor-related disorders. So when it comes to working with your clients, you know how to work with them if you have an inkling that they might be diagnosed with it. But you must pay attention to the duration of time and the symptoms that come with it. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, as always, please let me know, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Enjoy the rest of your day.